One of the things that I hear parents say all of the time is this normal? Is our family the worst family? Or I don't know if this is really that challenging, or maybe it's not that big of a deal. Do other families deal with this? Do we really need help, or should we just try harder, right? Maybe we've got it, or I've read this book, I've taken this course, I've tried all these things and nothing lasts for very long. So today I'm just going to talk to you about some of the families that I'm working with. And I just want you to know that I've changed some of the details around to protect the families. But these stories, they represent real families. I want you to know that it's not just, in a book or something. This is real life for me, what I deal with, and what other families are dealing with. So, and I'm doing this because parents don't realize that what they're experiencing isn't just typical parenting stress. And they don't realize that support can make all of the difference. And you may be making decisions for your family based on the crisis that you're in right now, and not even really know that there's other options. So I want to just kind of listen to these stories and see what resonates with you. So this first family number one, has a kid that is coming home from residential treatment. One family, I've worked with families in this position a lot, and most parents assume that if they have sent their child to treatment, especially some of these, really strong residential therapeutic treatment places, that they are at the finish line. But actually, it is just the beginning. And in my opinion, it's one of the best beginnings. If we had to send the child away for safety reasons, for the sake of the other members of the family, even for your own safety and need to recoup as a parent, these children are going to come home, whatever age they are. And this is the beginning of something new in your home. Whatever was happening before treatment, we're not going back to that. And so when a child is coming back home, I don't even like that expression. I like that they are coming home and that things are going to be different from here on out. So it's really building on what they learned. My doctoral research found that children learn actually wonderful, helpful skills while they're in treatment. And they can't get through a leveled treatment program until they're using those skills in that environment. And that environment has its own unique structure to it. It's usually more peer related issues, and then some adult interactions with different caregivers, but there's a whole team and they're getting a lot of therapy, and things are very structured. And most kids with trauma histories, ADHD, attachment challenges, other neurodivergent struggles can maintain change. They actually really struggle to maintain the changes, the things that they learned, to hold on to those and use those, apply those in another situation. So they're going to come home and they're going to be able to tell you what they're going to do if they get upset, or what they need, or what they want. But their ability to access that when they need it the most is really still going to be a struggle. And it's not that they have forgotten everything. It's that because the way their brain is wired, they are not able to take that and implement it when they need it the most. And that's why I work with you as the parent to know what to do. It's not because you failed. It's not because your home is the triggering thing, and that you're a trigger. I've had parents tell me, well, I guess I just trigger them. It's like, no, you are the parent. And especially kids with attachment disorder, this is a place where the work really has to be done, because the problem is in attaching in a family. This is where the trauma happened. This is why they're in your care. And so, yes, I'm okay if they needed to go and learn those skills. I'm just not okay thinking that they're going to come home and be able to implement that. That's not what the research shows. It shows that it really takes about 6 weeks when they come home before all of it just starts to be repetitive again. 6 weeks after sometimes a year, 18 months of treatment, and investment of time and money. And that doesn't mean that the treatment center failed. It means that there's some work, some boots on the ground work that we have to do in the home. So children need adults who understand how to create the structure, the regulation, and the relationships that are necessary for change. And you need to know how to do that because you don't have an entire residential treatment center team. And so I want to help you as the parents to know how to do that, and for everybody on in the family to be on board. And this particular family, it's one of my top favorite families because they are really working hard on that transition, and everyone's involved, the kids and everybody. And I love to see how hopeful parents start to feel, where a lot of times when kids are coming home after it's been so hard and they've struggled for a long time, and then finally, like, last ditch effort, it's like we've got to have him out of the home. We don't have a plan for that transition back. And a lot of parents are very nervous, like, oh no, like, it's been so peaceful, it's been so good, like, we don't have any of these problems, and yet this is your child. So we want to be able to integrate back into the family and have the family have learned and grown through this time. The second family that I'm working with, I call them my explosive adoptive family. They're not the only ones, but they're a good example of what I work with. They have several adopted children, and some of the children are explosive. Actually, one more than the others, but it kind of gets everybody going. And one child escalates, and now the entire household feels like it's in crisis. It can feel like you're on fire, basically, like everything's on fire. And then there's the older child that takes on a parentified role, and the siblings are looking to that child for direction and leadership rather than mom and dad. A lot of choices given, a lot of like, did you want to do this? Do you want to do that? They look to this other sibling of like, I don't know, do we? And typically that sibling's like, no, we're not going to do that, right? We're not going to cooperate. And so then everything goes from there. It's not this older child's fault, and it's not the fault of the younger ones. It's certainly not the parents' fault. We're not blaming anybody here. We just want it to get better. Who cares, right? Like, the why of why it's happening is easy to explain, but what we want to do is know what to do about it, right? So the parents, we've only been working together for a couple of weeks, and they are already seeing big changes. I'm telling you that the first week, if you do the things that I say to do in this deep dive program, which is 10 weeks long, where we just meet once a week and I give you different tools to use, and then I give you the support to keep using them, right? Because it's like easy to read in a book about, oh, I'm going to do that. But then in the crisis, it's like, oh, I just lost my mind, and I, joined in the chaos with the kids. So we've been working, they've been implementing the things that I've told them. And now they're already saying things like, our house feels calmer, we're more confident, we're finally enjoying the kids again, we're tired, but it's working and we want to keep going. And so they're becoming calm and confident leaders. And the children, you can see it. When I used to work in the homes doing this, when the kids were like my clients, and so I was going into the homes and doing this program, it was amazing to feel the difference from day one. And even just, I would come back in towards the end of the week, and just how much more calm it already feels. Just somebody in charge knowing what they're going to do, even if you have your own doubts. So I really appreciate this family. They're not alone. Lots of families like this. Family number 3, kinship care after trauma. So I am also working with a kinship caregiver raising a very young child. And this child has experienced neglect, abuse, domestic violence, repeated disruptions because of parental substance use. So parents in and out, right? And even at a very young age, she's struggling with intense meltdowns, can't handle no, very clingy at times, and yet very like, I'm running away from you behaviors. She doesn't get what she wants immediately. It's a complete disaster. And I work with a lot of kinship care providers, a lot of grandparents, great grandparents, sometimes great aunts. And it's tough because you have to have the physical stamina to raise a young child that's younger than their age even. And so you need the support of somebody saying, like, here's what we're going to do, and setting up that structure and helping you to be able to do these things. And some families, especially I found this with kinship because of the relation with the kids, I think. I feel like there's a little bit more pushback, honestly, from some of my kinship care people, that they are a little more hesitant to just jump in and do the things that I'm asking them to do. But usually, at least part of the way through the program, they're like, oh, okay. And so we kind of go back to like, this is why on week 1 I said we need to do this. And so that they're able to do it and they catch up pretty quickly, because we're really helping the kids to learn, even if this is their auntie or their grandparents, that they still need to have that correct child-adult relationship. And they need to learn that adults can be trusted. My needs can still be met, even if my gratification is delayed. They need to be able to control their impulses, and mostly they need to feel safe and secure, and I can help you to build that. The things that I have parents do is all designed to build in that safety and that connection. So at the same time, we're helping the caregiver to build connection, attachment, predictability, and that can be hard, especially if you've already raised kids and now you're taking care of the next generation or 2 generations, from your own children. And there's some family dynamics that we usually need to go over and talk about in terms of safety and building some trust for this child when we have bio parents coming in and out, and how to deal with that. So a lot of kin care support is really, really helpful. The 4th family I'm going to talk about today is a blended family. And I'm working with a blended family where actually this particular blended family, only one biological parent and the step parent are participating in coaching. And what I want parents to hear is this: you don't need every adult on board to begin making change. And especially when you have a divided household, when your kids are spending half of their time in one house and the other half of the time in another house. I have lots of families like this. In my area, 50-50 custody is pretty common. And so they're not even with you 80% of the time or 70% of the time. It really is 50-50. And you may feel like, well, we get things set up here and then it all goes, out the window when they go, back to their dads or their moms. And so, it's wonderful when everyone participates. And I have had families where I have both households participating, and meaningful change can happen through that for sure. And everybody feels better about everybody else if we can get, people to just focus on in their lane of what we're doing in our household, and kids are able to adjust. But this amazing change can happen even with only one household or one parent being engaged. So we're about halfway through our work together, and already things are going so much better. This is all teens, and the teens are connecting with the step parent, and the parent is feeling more confident. They are excited about their summer, and they're back in charge instead of constantly reacting. And there was a lot of fear of in these divided households, there's I think more fear of this child isn't going to want to be here with me. They're only going to want to be with the other parent. And then step parents have a whole different role that they play in this. And it is, I tell, grandparents, great grandparents, step parents, dad parents, mom parents, you're a parent, and parents have a role. It looks different in each household, but it's still a really important role. And so I can kind of help ease some of that, because a lot of times it's like the best of hearts and the most caring, but not knowing what they can do, and people really feeling like their hands are tied, especially when you throw in the emotional part of wanting the kids to want to be with you and want to be at your house, and not feeling like you're being I don't know, just the fear and the worry and the reality of being misrepresented by the other parent comes into play as well. I've worked with divorced families where both households are committed to making the changes, and that's awesome. The parents learn how to co-parent, and I always tell parents, even if you're in the same household, how you parent versus how dad parents or how the step-parent parents is going to be different, but we can still be on the same page. And these parents are often exhausted that have kids that are going back and forth, and they're hopefully, when they start to work with me, they usually have a lot of the legal battles are out of the way, and so we're just working with the custody agreement that we have and helping the kids to be able to make these transitions. These are typically kids that don't do transitions very well, and we have this big one that happens every single week or every 2 weeks of kids, going from one complete household to another household. So, if you've spent years, arguing about discipline, blaming each other, and trying to manage these challenging behaviors, which the divorce rate with kids that have a lot of challenges it's higher because it's so stressful on the family. It takes a toll on everybody involved. And if you're a step parent in the kind of the middle of this and you want to help, you might see things clearer than anybody else that's in the situation, but you need to know how to be able to use your clarity and to be able to help with that and to find your place in that. So each of these families, they look different. Some are adoptive families, some are kinship, some are blended families, some are divorced families. Some have kids in treatment, some have kids that they're getting ready to send to treatment. Almost all of the children have ADHD or trauma histories or attachment challenges. Like that's kind of the common thread. Although I wouldn't just say ADHD. I call it the ADHD brain, but autism also falls in there. And the thing that I see that I love about working with the parents is you love your kids, right? You want it to get better. We know innately that family it shouldn't be so hard to be at home together. And most of these parents that I work with, they've reached a point where love alone isn't solving the problem. And so they know they need help. They know that they love the child, and sending the child to these different therapies has worked to a degree, but we're still having these struggles at home, which usually a lot of times will transfer over to school and other places as well. So you need support and tools and coaching and a community of parents who really understand. So a lot of the families that I work with are participating in my 10-week deep dive coaching program. And they also continue to work in our ongoing support groups, because parenting challenging kids is not something that I feel like parents should do alone. So we have new groups that are starting. This is a starting place for some families that don't know that they can do the 10 weeks. But they start with, we have a group for parents that are for ADHD and neurodivergent kids. And we have a group for adoptive parents. So these are parents that have kids with ADHD and autism. You might be in that group, or you might want to be in the adoptive parent group. What if you have a kid that is all of it, right? A lot of adopted kids have all of it. And I would just pick the group that feels the best for you. I think that most of the time, the adoption has another layer to what's going on, even though the kids have ADHD or learning disabilities or trauma related backgrounds. But mostly it's just it's getting connected and diving in, not just a place to vent, or for everyone else to kind of give, well, I tried this and I tried that. Like this is guided coaching. You get coaching. Everyone gets an opportunity to get coaching if you want it. Otherwise, you can listen to other people getting coached. And it's a place where families start to heal. I've had parents that have been in my coaching groups. They've never done a bigger coaching program, and their families have completely changed. And I love that too. So it's a great place to start. I just want to ask you, what family sounded the most like yours, and where do you want to start? And what are you waiting for?